Hello and welcome. This is the Marlowe Show, and I'm your host, Milo. Spoiler alert, we made it. We dragged this 1992 22-foot Grady-White all the way from Florida up to Canada. It was a long journey. Took us 6 days, and I have to say, it was a lot of fun. So let's look back and see what happened. Of course, we started our journey down in Florida. We had a late start, leaving at around 2:30 p.m. We didn't expect to get far today. All we were hoping for was to cross the Florida-Georgia border and count on the next day to make some serious ground. We were super excited for this journey. We were on the edge of our seat, waiting to see what would happen next. Well, I was excited. Nevertheless, we pushed on through Florida, and soon we entered the state of Georgia. We had Georgia on our mind the entire day, so we were thankful to finally make it here before the day was over. Okay, that is day one done. We are somewhere in Georgia at a truck stop. We will make it to Memphis tomorrow, and nothing really happened today. Didn't drive for that long because we left late, but yeah, it's holding up good. Good. You go to bed, start again tomorrow. Early the next day, we woke up and pressed on. We were hoping to make Memphis by today, and we had to make good time because we were planning to visit Graceland today and didn't want to get there too late. But even though we were on a tight schedule, it wouldn't be a true American road trip without visiting Buc-ee's. Although we got there at 7:30 a.m., it was still packed. What a true American establishment. After we got the Buc-ee's out of our system, our first major city hoved into view. With the boat and the camper, I thought Atlanta would be very difficult to drive through. But I was thankful that it wasn't what I was expecting. Because it was early in the morning, it wasn't too crowded, and we got through there with ease. With the first major city on our route passed, we were even more excited than yesterday to get to Memphis, Tennessee. This time, we were actually on the edge of our seats. Alright, I gotta stop doing this. Anyways, we had a nice, short drive through Sweet Home, Alabama, and then crossed into Mississippi. I found the Orange Road very interesting. I've never seen anything quite like this before. Does that street sign say, "No, it can't be"? It is. We made it to Graceland. Just in time. They would not take me upstairs to see the toilet, and because I don't want to get sued, all I'm going to show you is this sweet photo of me and the Elvis sign. After our little walk through rock and roll history, we went to Central Barbecue. We each ordered a big ol' full rack of ribs. I got mine half sauced and then half with their signature dry rub. My only complaint was that it got a little bit too dry near the end, but still fantastic ribs. After our smorgasbord was finished, we saw a glorious sight. The Bass Pro Pyramid! Because I am an adult, I will keep my excitement at bay, but I must say, I was very, very, very excited to come here and see what it was all about. Okay, got a couple of souvenirs. Just walking out now. Probably one of the coolest stores I've ever been to. I will definitely be back if I ever come around here. Yeah, it's cool. There will be a dedicated video on our channel for my stroll through the pyramid. Check it out. Back at the camper with the boat. I'd say it's a pretty good day. Went to Bass Pro, of course. Went to a Buc-ee's for the first time. And we went to Graceland. You know, I wasn't allowed to film there, so that's I'll see if I can pop a couple photos in the video, but yeah, it's a good day. We are currently in the Bass Pro parking lot. That big pyramid right there. It's the Bass Pro. We'll be up and at 'em at, I would say, about 5:30 again, like we did this morning. And yeah, hopefully it's another good day. Might be going through Kansas City tomorrow. Got some more barbecue. Yeah. We got well rested camping in the Bass Pro Shop's parking lot, and we resumed our journey and crossed into Arkansas. I had never been to Arkansas, but after driving through it, I can say that this is one of the most beautiful states that I've ever driven through. I loved how lush it was, and the farmland was absolutely gorgeous. I will definitely be coming back here. Cows! Once we crossed into Missouri, something very concerning happened that needed to be dealt with. There was a little fan on top of the camper, and the latch had flown off and smashed into the boat. We only found half of it, but it was starting to rain and I needed to tape it back on before the camper got soaked inside. Pouring rain now, and there's lots of thunder. So let's get back into it and hurry up and get to shop where we can buy another vent. Thankfully, my speedy craftsmanship got the hatch taped on right before it started to pour. Then we pressed on. The rain later stopped and the skies turned a bright blue. It was truly a beautiful day to be driving. Although my craftsmanship for the hatch was superb, we needed to pull into a Camping World to see if we could replace it. Unfortunately, the great American Camping World did not have the piece we were looking for. So, we hit the road yet again. After a couple hours of driving, our next barbecue destination was slowly coming into view. We pulled into the glorious Joe's Kansas City Barbecue. The lineup was literally wrapped around the entire building, but it was going to be worth the wait because these ribs are going to be sublime. Along with the ribs, we got the Kansas City signature burnt ends. And holy, this wasn't only the best barbecue that I've ever had in my life. This was one of the best meals that I've ever had. The barbecue ribs were fantastic and so juicy, and the burnt ends were sublime. After that unforgettable meal, we said goodbye to Joe's Kansas City barbecue and then drove right past Kansas City itself. Kansas City was really quite cool to see, but it was time to continue our very important journey. It didn't take too long to cross into the next state on the map, Iowa. This pretty sunset and this road was pretty much all we saw in Iowa. But hey, it was still cool to see. The next day, we crossed into the great state of Nebraska, and it was pretty much identical to Iowa. But after pulling over to get some gas, we saw something very concerning on one of the tires of our trailer. Yeah, there's air. Apparently, this is not how your tire should look. So we went into the gas station, got a tire plugging kit, and plugged up the tire. We then drove into Wyoming and decided to pull over into a nice city to get some food. We decided to eat at Sanford's Grub and Pub. In here, it was heavily decorated, and it was really quite cool. We got the burnt ends as an appetizer, and for the main course, I got the hot-ass Miss Piggy burger. This burger consisted of a normal American burger, but with added pulled pork. This meal was ginormous, and it was quite delicious. It was quite messy, but the meal was very good and the atmosphere was fantastic. After Miss Piggy was quickly devoured, we went into a store called The Wrangler, and I got this pretty sweet American belt buckle. During our drive through Wyoming, some more trouble had caught up to us. This time, we needed to duct tape the fender back to the trailer because it was falling off. No big deal. Later on the drive, we ran into this monster truck team convoy. Knowing nothing about monster trucks, I still thought this was pretty cool. And I wish them good luck on whatever event they're going to. During the drive, I was expecting Wyoming to be a lot cooler. However, when the sun started to set, I could see what all the hubbub was about.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. We got through the phone. That looks great. That's awesome.
This has to be one of the most beautiful sunsets I had ever seen in my entire life. This made me even more eager to see what the next day brought. That night, we parked and slept in a roadside rest stop. Nothing special, and then the next day, we pressed on yet again. We passed this train, and its cargo was very interesting. It was hauling these awesome American military vehicles. It's very cold. A lot different than yesterday. Once we filled up with gas and I tried to warm my frozen nips, we then saw that the rig was in pristine shape still, and then got back on the road. Once we crossed into Idaho, we needed to get our trailer inspected. And once we passed with flying colors, we were able to proceed. Unfortunately, today held some more bad news. We started to get a coolant leak, so we had to temporarily fill it up with water at every stop so that we didn't overheat. Even with all these issues, nothing was going to stop us. We were determined to make the border by tonight. Crossing into Washington made me realize how close we were getting to the journey's end. We then pulled over and had a spot of lunch at a typical American Texas roadhouse. It wasn't bad, and we hit the road with 4 hours left to the border. This portion of driving was a little bit sketchy because the big mountains had very steep hills for our big rig to climb up. But after toppling yet another obstacle, the last big major American city came into view. Once darkness had taken over the entire sky, we were so close to the border that I could smell it. But first we decided to fill up the boat with gasoline, as in the States, gas is much cheaper than in Canada. And finally, at 11:54 p.m., and I'm not joking, we pulled into customs. We finally made it across the border. But it was so late and we were so tired that we couldn't even celebrate. At around 1:30 a.m., we pulled into Tawasin. We then spent the night in line at BC Ferries and slept like babies until the 5 a.m. ferry a couple hours later. The next morning, we were on the very first ferry of the day. And once we got off, we were closing in to our final destination. At last, we made it on day 6. We pulled the boat into the driveway and took a big sigh of relief. This trip was a lot of fun, and we made it with very minimal issues. As always, stay sublime.